Well, to bring things up, travel through a few years to this past summer, you had a fantastic season, 3 wins, and I'd like to know, with Beijing looming on the horizon, was this your schedule? Were your tremendous results this year part of the grand plan of training and heading towards Beijing next year?
It certainly, yes, to an extent. It was like I realized I'd taken these steps forward, and I realized I needed to take one step back, which was to really work on my swimming. So I spent 2 years with a new coach and a new. We basically just took a new philosophy to swimming. We had applied in my old coach, and it was trial and error, and it just failed. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just we applied ourselves to a certain principle and a certain method of training and a certain expectation of the environment that we would train in, and eventually that went awry and it didn't work. We got to Athens, and I knew one problem going into Athens. I knew I wasn't ready for the swim. I knew that getting to the start line, I was thinking, man, I'm fast, but I'm not strong. So over the next 2 years, we worked on strength of swimming. We got away from, we said, okay, I'm fast, I can be fast, I can take 2 months off swimming and go back and swim a fast 100. But what I'm not is I'm not strong. So I spent 2 years taking a back step, letting my running, just maintaining my running and really working on my swimming. And that's been the big change this year, is that I let out a swim which I couldn't believe. Everybody said I came out of the water in Kitzbühel, and I was like, I'm leading a swim, no way. So I spent 2 years working on that. I would describe it as 2 steps forward, 1 step back, so that I could now take those 2 steps forward, because we had a young guy come along, Javier Gomez from Spain, and he changed the sport. He came along, and the old deal was, if you were the best swimmer, you weren't a great runner. If you were the best runner, you weren't a great swimmer. And Hamish kind of started that model, but he didn't perfect it, I would say. Gomez came along, and he's like, I'm going to be the absolute best swimmer. I'm going to lead out swims, and then I'm going to have the fastest run by 15 seconds. And it was incredible. And he's this incredibly strong cyclist, and then he has the fastest run, so he changed the sport. So I saw him doing this 2 years ago. I'm a real student of the sport. I really studied the sport, and I could see that this kid was coming along. He's 25 years old, and I said, wait a minute, when this kid when he grows up, he's going to be fast. And so I spent 2 years working on swimming, and then this year was able to come out of the water with him, and it was basically my response. He threw out the challenge, and my response was I stood out of the water with him in Des Moines, and when he looked over his shoulder, I smiled at him. I'm here. Now he's still taking the running to a next level. I mean, he certainly is. I finished up world number 2, and he deserved to be world number 1. I couldn't beat him this year, so we'll see how it goes.
And somebody asked when we were here earlier what kind of 10K splits the athletes are doing, to get on the podium, and really, sometimes it's under 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, he changed the sport, because it used to be, you used to think, well, geez, if I can run 29:59, I win. And Gomez came along and said, oh, if you run 29:59, you'll finish 20 seconds behind me. So he runs, I would say he runs about 29. Yeah, it depends on the course and how the bike is unfolded, but he's throwing down 29:45, let's say, and that's the new standard. Because I used to think that by Beijing, if you ran under 30 minutes off the bike, you would win. But if you do that, you'll finish 5 seconds behind Gomez.